Confederate battle flag is no more a harmless symbol of Southern heritage than the swastika is German heritage.
Except it does have a history in German culture. That is, before the Nazis. Long before the Nazis.
Hey, you!
Before we continue on with the video, please give it a like, share it, put it on all your social media, show it to all your friends and family, and of course don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already. And remember to click the bell so that way you will receive notifications from YouTube when I upload my videos. And of course, don't forget to check out my community page on my YouTube channel. I'll post notifications there as well as to when I'm going to be uploading a video, and I may try to post some other kinds of content if I can figure out what I should perhaps post there. I may post some tweets or something from my Twitter. And now I have a more set schedule when I like to upload my videos, and that is on Wednesdays at 9:15 a.m. Pacific time. And of course, if you really like my content, please consider donating to my Patreon or to my Ko-fi. And I would like to add that my boyfriend Z Commander also helped me out with a little bit of this video. So go follow him on Twitter and join his Discord server. Link will be in the description. And if you're interested, his commissions are open, so you can commission him for any kind of like military vehicles. He'll build it for you and paint it to how you want. And he does pretty much any kind of model kit except for the large RCs. So if you're interested in something like that, if you want it for yourself or maybe for a family member or a friend, go commission him. Now that we have that out of the way, let's get on with the video.
Confederate battle flag is no more a harmless symbol of Southern heritage than the swastika is German heritage.
Except it does have a history in German culture. That is, before the Nazis. Long before the Nazis. And it's not just the Nazis who have used the swastika. It's also been used by the Danish, the Finnish, the French, the Icelandic, the Irish, the English, the Scottish, the Polish, the Russians, the Latvians, the Spanish, the Swedish, the Native Americans, the Buddhists. The swastika is one of the most used symbols throughout history and through many different cultures. It is connected to probably pretty much every culture on Earth. You have even less of an argument to say that the swastika isn't somehow related to German culture or European culture or cultures outside of Europe. And ironically, you're being very Eurocentric because people like you are what make it so that other cultures outside of Europe can't even use the swastika. Now, as for the Confederate battle flag, yes, it was used for a horrible reason, for a country that wanted to preserve slavery. However, its meaning has changed twice. Its original meaning, obviously, was for the Confederacy, and what the Confederacy was trying to preserve was slavery. But after the Confederacy failed, after it was dissolved and merged back in with the Union, then the Confederate flag, or the Confederate battle flag, was used as a symbol of racism or white supremacy or suppression of black people. Now the second change is more recent. This probably happened sometime after the 1960s. For example, in 2015, 19% of black people viewed the flag as being a symbol of Southern pride. Only recently in 2019 is it now at 11%. But of course, I think the reason that it dropped is not because now more are realizing it's racist so much as the whole politicization of race again. The group now that is trying to revert its meaning back to racism are liberals and atheists. But the problem is most people who use it in the South aren't racist. So to associate it with racism today is ridiculous. And another way to look at it is when you basically say that this symbol is racism, that this symbol represents racism, you're letting the racists win. You're letting them keep this symbol to mean racism rather than appropriating it and using it as a symbol of pride, of Southern pride, and also of Southern black pride. Why not appropriate the symbol to mean something good?
Post-war Germany is a useful comparison here. In the aftermath of Hitler's defeat, swastika flags and banners were torn down and torched before the cities had even been cleared of debris. Nazi icons were destroyed and banned from being displayed in public. Of course, there were Germans who still identified with the fallen regime, and their bigoted views didn't vanish overnight. The removal of Nazi icons was a necessary first step towards saying this was not okay, but it still took time for the country to heal, learn from its mistakes, and become the nation it is today. A nation far less tolerant of bigotry than the United States.
Yes, good old tolerant Germany. Except it's not really tolerant. Here in Germany you can't exactly, do certain things like criticize history, otherwise you might be fined for wrong speech or at most arrested for it. We can't even get a gun for self-defense because the state keeps telling us that we can get a gun, except mostly everything is illegal. For example, an AR-15 is illegal in Germany, not due to the high capacity or because it looks like a military weapon, more because the firing chamber is illegal and also the trigger is considered a speedy trigger, thus making it illegal. And also in Germany, for good old tolerance, we have certain things like politicians encouraging the demise of the German people, quite literally, such as like with politicians in the Green Party promoting the idea of Germans becoming a minority in their own country, and that's not even getting started with the whole censorship in Germany. The minor stuff is typically video games. The bigger stuff is destruction of historical artifacts. The bigger example of that would be the Führer bunker, where Hitler killed himself, or supposedly killed himself, depending on which story you follow. Essentially what happened when they did that was the Soviets tried to destroy it, then Germans tried to destroy it, and then finally when it was uncovered, because essentially the German state wanted to completely cover up where it even was, they buried it and sealed it off in concrete from the public. And the only acknowledgement of the Führer bunker came about as a plaque in 2006. So yeah, good old tolerant Germany. In Germany you won't really get an angry mob, you will just be punished by the state. Now back to the good old tolerant United States, where you can protect yourself with a gun, you can say whatever you want without the state punishing you, and best of all, you can defend your property with any caliber weapon you really want, except if it's a machine gun.
But where the Germans have come to grips with their responsibility for that horrific period of their past, the United States still faces that challenge. As long as the monuments valorizing Confederate leaders remain in place, we are showing the world that our nation has not accepted its culpability in the evil of slavery.
Why should Americans care what other countries think? America has recognized its past and has said slavery was wrong and that Jim Crow was wrong. We have accepted that. We have said that it was wrong. And those Confederate generals, although flawed, they do have a historic significance in our history, especially within those states.
Taking the statues down is not erasing history either. Books are a thing that exist.
I would probably normally agree with you if this was, well, not today. Because the radical left has been calling the removal or the destruction of multiple different statues, many of which have nothing to do with slavery, and in some cases were anti-slavery. Removal in some sense can be a form of censorship. And it could also be in some sense a form of destroying history because you're removing it from its place that it was meant to be. Because those are a form of history. They are a representation of history. Art is just another way to show the history. And you can change the meaning of those statues. You can make them mean purely just Southern pride. Those figures had other historical significance.
Applying modern standards of evaluation to historical events doesn't change history, but it helps us gain perspective on how things have changed and how individual historians may have shaped the narrative of their histories. Taking a critical look at figures like Christopher Columbus or Robert E. Lee is not rewriting the past, but rather reckoning with the legacy of the past and how historical symbols appear to those whose ancestors were affected.
Except that's not what the left is arguing about. They're not arguing for a critical view or a critical look at these historical figures. No. They want the history of those figures. They want the statues, everything, all the symbols destroyed. They want the symbolism, the art, the history censored. They want culture censored. So don't give me the bull that this is about wanting to have a critical look at these historical figures. That's not what it's about, and it has never been about that. Anyways, that's it for this video. If you liked my video, please give it a like, subscribe, share it, comment down below and tell me what you thought. Follow me on all my social media like Parler and Twitter. And if you really like my content, consider donating to my Patreon or to my Ko-fi. Do all that, and I'll see y'all later.